Hello and welcome. My name is Andrew, and I'm part of the marketing team over at SEO Ranking. And today we're going to have a webinar devoted to the topic of how to steal your competitors' featured snippets. And I am joined by Himani Kankari. I'm not going to start off straight away. Let's take another minute maybe for everybody to arrive and just to make sure that everyone is here. For those of you who are here already, you can let me know where you guys are joining us from today, so that I can understand that everyone can see and hear us. So find the chat and just let us know where you are joining us from. Greetings from Austria. Thank you. So I'm thinking that we are good to go. So let me start off by saying a couple of more things about me. I work in the marketing team over at SEO Ranking, and I'm in charge of different blog posts, marketing videos, webinars, and so on. But I'm not the main person here today. Today, you are here probably for our guest, Himani Kankari. She is the head of the founder of Missive Digital, an organic marketing agency that focuses on enhancing the brand proposition of the businesses to maximize ROI and brand loyalty through organic marketing channels. Himani specializes in strategizing, creating, and optimizing content for users and SERP features like the featured snippet, which we're going to focus on today. Hermione has been in the industry for over a decade, and she has helped SaaS and technology businesses multiply their organic presence and conversions through organic marketing channels. Now, so before I give the word over to Hermione, let me say a couple of things about the topic of today's webinar. So today we're going to focus on featured snippets and how you can steal them away from your main competitors. So these expanded descriptive search results appear as a special box prominently displayed at the top or near the search results pages, and their main goal is to help Google better understand. Their main goal is to provide users with direct answers, but they can do a lot more things than that, and I'm not going to go any further than that. I'm going to give that honor to our guest, Himani. So let me continue. So yeah, today we're going to focus on a couple of things. The presentation the webinar will be broken down into a couple of sections. So how Google selects websites for featured snippets. Then we're going to focus on things you need to know before planning, the framework of owning featured snippets, and then Himani will share her tried and tested tricks for featured snippets, and we will finish off with a Q&A. So if you have any questions, make sure to write them down, and we will either address them during the webinar as we go along, or we will focus on them at the very end during the devoted Q&A session that we will have. A couple of things about the platform, the host company. So SEO Ranking, it is an all-in-one SEO platform that covers essential and advanced tools for SEO monitoring and marketing analysis. It includes more than 30 tools for SEO and PPC. Just basically covers the full scope of work that can be done by an SEO or a digital marketer. Like I said, it's for different types of agencies. Your big company, one-man show, an agency, it doesn't matter. We have different tools for all of these different types of businesses. So you're welcome to try out our tools if you haven't yet. And just to confirm all that big talk about being an all-in-one tools, here are a couple of awards that we have from G2, and they're actually not only two. Everyone in the background is also a different award. So we try to do our best to make our platform as easy to use and as powerful as our users need it to be. All right, so let me just quickly make sure that the chat is very active and busy. So I'm guessing everything is good, and I'm ready to give the word over to our guest, Himani Kankaria, to talk about the main topic of today's webinar. Please have the floor, Himani.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much. I would first of all like to thank the entire SE Ranking team for having me. It is really an honor and pleasure to be on this webinar with you guys. And obviously, hello everyone. I can see a lot of people from UK, Netherlands, Pakistan, India. I mean, so many people from different parts of India. So I would like to thank you for joining us today, and let's get started with everything that we want to discuss about featured snippets. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So obviously, we are like so enthusiastic SEOs in the team, right? So that is the reason why all of our whether we are in house, whether we are say whether we are working in an agency, whether we are say freelancers or consultants, our bosses or clients, they just love us. They feel that they have got the best team in the world. Why? Because it's like, whenever they see a content that drives a little bit of visibility, like, a few clicks in the last 28 days, say 13, even 2, even 100, so it's like even the moment a content starts driving any of the visibility, they are like, I mean, wow. They would ask us to make it to reach to rank one or featured snippets, even, over the weekend itself, right? So it's like these people are like they just love us, and it's our responsibility that we need to let them know that these things doesn't work in this way, and we obviously have our own processes to work around that ways, right? But before we tell them that what they need to do is what we need to do is actually we need to learn about how exactly this entire process works, and that's how we can work in that direction, right? So let's begin with the first thing is how Google selects featured snippets. Actually, when it comes to Google, they have these patterns for almost every algorithm, that they have, and even every, process of an algorithm has, right? So, how they start is they, start identifying a text features in a keyword-based sentence. Whenever they see the number of pages on, say, top 10 pages of, on page one, right? There they identify the keyword based sentences. There they look out for the, is there any sentence or a section on the page eligible for a featured snippet? They look out for those things. Next is they identify where the keyword based sentence can be truncated, because obviously not the entire page is going to be visible on featured snippet, right? So they have to identify a certain section where they can fit that particular section onto a featured snippet, right? Next is they move ahead with now they have identified a lot of pages on page one, right? The 10 or 8 or 7, the number of pages that they have on the search. What they do is they identify, they go through all of them, and then they calculate a snippet score, right? To understand that which all match the criteria to drive value to the audience for a particular query, as well as how much they can suffice to users experience, right? So that's they calculate and assign a particular snippet score to the shortlisted ones. Then finally they select a snippet with the highest snippet score to be shown on the featured snippets. So this this is how they work, and this is where we now need to move ahead with what are things that we need to know before, say, even planning, preparing almost anything. Yeah. So what we need to do know is number one thing is you can't steal a featured snippet until and unless you are on page one. Honestly speaking, search engines, what they do is they select the even if they have to select a featured snippet, what they will do is they will just go through the pages that are there on the page one, because they trust their algorithms, and that's how they pick up the featured snippets, right? So obviously until and unless you are on page one, don't expect that our website could be on page on featured snippets. Yeah. Next is, sometimes it happens that we are already on page one, right? And then being on page one, The most critical part is being already on rank 2 or rank 3. I've seen a lot of clients. I mean, they just come to us and they just tell us that, hey, Mani, we just want to be, say, on featured snippets. That's it. We don't want impressions. We don't want clicks, nothing. We just want to be on the featured snippets. But that's where the challenge is, because if you are already on page, I mean, on rank 2 or 3, it's not going to be very easy. Obviously there are a couple of reasons behind that, because all of your websites, because you and even your competitors are on top 3 positions, right? So obviously your site's authority is very good. The content quality, and the user expectations is satisfied from what content you have published, right? So it becomes really difficult for even search engines to identify which is improving the user experience and expectations, right? Next is yeah. So next is that you might earn the second featured snippets. Honestly, this is something that is not available for most of the featured snippets, but we have seen. I mean, there are a lot of chatter almost every 2 to 3 months where someone comes up and tells that is Google testing this feature again? Because it was, they tested it earlier, but what happens is that they keep on testing, or maybe sometimes it happens that they might feel that two of these are could be really good for the users searching for the same, right? So they might come up with a second featured snippet. So it is quite possible that if you plan it and if you get the second featured snippet, you might lose some clicks there. So you need to be aware of this thing as well. Second thing is, every optimization would be different. Obviously, how it could be different? Based on industry. Say you are from highly competitive industry. What happens is that when the industry is very competitive, the optimization would be different, right? It's not always that you would be optimizing for content. It's not just you would be optimizing for on page or any such sort of things, right? Then next is the competition. Obviously, the competition, I would talk about even the SERP competition that you have, right? I mean, there are times that, the blogs or, the content that are there on the page one, those could be from, say, market leaders. Those could be from, thought leaders, affiliate sites, and so many other sites, right? So it becomes really difficult to outperform them and then stand on the featured snippets, right? So that is the reason the process of optimizing those pages would be different again. Next is type of content. Obviously, if you are, say, having how to content, or say if you are having a listicle content, so obviously those optimization tricks are also, that kind of optimization is going to be different. Next is type of featured snippet. Yes, whether it's a paragraph, whether it's a video, whether it's a table, obviously, we have to consider those in mind and then optimize a page. Next is number of owned featured snippets. Very important, because what happens is, as per my experience, what has happened is that, to get number one featured snippet is very difficult. It takes months and months to own your first featured snippets. But the moment you have multiple featured snippets, it becomes a little easy, I would say, not too much easy, but a little easy to, own other featured snippets, right? So these are the types of ways, the optimization would differ. The last thing is that we need to know is that if you can't be better, you can't be better than your competitors in UX, you cannot sustain featured snippets. The biggest challenge that we have, sustaining featured snippets, right? So with UX here, I mean user experience and user expectations. You would be working on your site's user experience, right? You would be working on core web vitals, you would be working on page speed, you would be working on mobile friendliness, everything, right? Your navigation, your CTO, CTAs and everything, right? So do you think that, that would be enough? No. The thing that is different is the expectations, right? Why a person is reading your content, right? That becomes really crucial for us to understand that if the user expectations from a content is not satisfied, you are not going to be sustain your featured snippets. It will always be like owning featured snippets, losing it, owning it, losing it. It will be the same thing forever, right?
Yeah,
So
coming.
these were the
I just wanted to ask. There's a question in the chat about what you just said. So when you say page one, ranking on page one, does this exclude discount paid ads?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So most of the time, what happens is, when there are featured snippets, most of the time the paid ads are little less. I mean, I would say that there could be only one ad or maximum two ads on the top. Otherwise, whenever there are featured snippets are most of the time on the top, right? Okay. Shall I continue?
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing. So these were the five things that we need to know before we plan and do anything around, featured snippets. Next is our framework, right? How we are going to focus on stealing our featured snippets from our competitors. Yeah. So here is the framework that we should be looking at. Here is something that we focus on, say, preparing, like, planning and everything, and then executing it. When it comes to planning, we have to audit our competitors, analyze them in detail. This is something that, we are going to cover all of these things in detail, that, what covers in auditing competitors, what it covers in, say, gathering keywords, what it covers in optimizing content, what it covers in optimizing on page, right? So let's move them into, detail. So when it comes to, say, auditing your competitors thoroughly, we usually focus on these areas: how many words they have written, what headings they have used, keywords they rank for, backlinks, media they have included, everything, right? But honestly speaking, these are not enough. These are good. Obviously, we need to be looking at those things, but these are not enough. So we need to look at? We need to look at is what is in the featured snippets. Very important thing. Our first step should start from, looking at the competitors' featured snippets. Whether it is, a table format. Okay, if it is a table format, what it includes is, does it include a heading? Does it include a line of text? Does it include, multiple? How many rows it includes, right? How many columns it includes? So everything, detailed thing, we need to analyze over here. If it is, say, paragraph, how much paragraph they have taken from, where the section has been taken from their, blog or content, which lines get highlighted when it comes to featured snippets, everything here as well. Obviously, here, if it is a listicle, as I said, that there could be only one ad over here, not more than that, one or two maximum. Then there is this featured snippet. So here we need to look at, oh, they have four images. Okay. This is the headline. Okay. What are the pointers that they have included? Oh, here I see more items, which means this is not the limited one, right? So this is how we need to look at into their featured snippets. Until and unless we do this thoroughly, it is going to be difficult to plan and optimize your own content. Next is looking at their content quality. How would you gauge a quality? I mean, a content's quality, right? So, what happens is, if you are the subject matter experts, wonderful. If you're not the subject matter expert, please consult a subject matter expert and ask them that, do you think the competitor has done justice to the content? Ask them. If they have not done the justice, I mean, can you make it possible that your content would provide enough information to the audience considering the topic? If yes, how? And if you think the, competitors have explained wonderfully their content, then we need to identify how are we going to, stand out from that, right? Obviously, if their content quality is great, our content quality is great, still we have to identify some ways where we can outperform them and we can own the featured snippets. Next is checking out their on-page tags. We obviously look at, all of these things that, we look at their title tag, meta description tag, they are all the heading tags, right? We check all of them. What we mostly miss out is looking at the internal and external links, medias, and FAQs if they have it, right? Most of the time, what happens is that, we only look for, say, above part of it, and we miss out on looking at internal and external links. But sometimes I have even seen that, when we look at external links, what happens is that, we take exactly the same links and we put it on our website, considering that, that would make it really work well. But it is not like that, right? So it's not something that we should be looking and limiting ourselves to only title and heading tags, but we should be also looking at links and media and FAQs if they have added it. Even if they have not added it, maybe we can work on it, that, what we should be adding it in our content. Next is auditing their page speed. Honestly, what happens is that, we don't give too much importance to their page speed for a particular page. What happens is we look at their overall page score. That is the reason, sometimes we may miss out on looking at that how much time that particular page is taking to load, right? But when you look at their page speed, what you need to notice is if your page speed is similar to their page speed. If that is the case, you just have to identify whether you can make it better or not. Say if your page speed is very poor, then obviously you need to work on it to reach that featured snippet. If you think that it is optimal, just like the above example, right? This is one of the clients where they have this optimal page loading speed for that particular content, and still they are on page number 11. Here we can definitely save our resources over here, right? And we can just invest in other areas, right? And if you feel that your big score is great, obviously you don't need to do anything over there, right? Next is once you're done with all the auditing of your competitors, next thing is to identify the right keywords from your search console. Right here, I have shown an example of the topic that talks about the benefits of full stack developer and full stack development, right? So here, while looking into this, what happens is we usually look at those queries that are actually getting some visibility. This is the common practice. We look at the pages, we look at the queries that are on page 2, we just gather them, and then we just optimize a page for that particular thing, for that particular keywords, right? But here, sometimes it happens that those queries are not relevant. If you look at the highlighted queries over here, these are completely offbeat. I mean, the topic is of benefits or advantages or even importance, but these two are the commercial queries where people are not looking for a blog, they are more looking at hiring a resource or hiring an agency, right? Though it has, like, say, good visibility, still we should discard those keywords. Otherwise what will happen is that this blog will start competing with its own landing page, and what will happen is that there will be an issue of keyword cannibalization. So please make sure that you identify the right keywords while gathering your keywords from search console. Next is you need to identify new secondary keywords. For a blog that you have identified a few key queries from search console, right? The next step is to go to SE ranking tool and just put your primary keyword there and identify broad match, phrase match or exact match keywords that would help your content to reach the right audience. Why this step is important? Because sometimes it happens that your content might need to include something, right? Say for example, if I talk about this fintech challenges blog, right here, if I miss out on talking about regulatory challenges for fintech industry, right? If I miss this out, obviously my audience could be the people who would be looking at those challenges, and I have missed out adding it to my content. Maybe this can remind me that, hey Himani, you need to add these things as well for your audience, right? So that is the reason why it is important to identify those secondary keywords as well. Next step is to gather the FAQs from people also ask as well. I mean, I am telling them FAQs, but it's like because they are question queries, but they are actually not always to be used as FAQs. Maybe you can use it as, say, heading tags, right? H2 tags, H3 tags, based on how you've structured your content, right? But this is a very important step. You need to look at those these questions as well, and you have to identify how you can frame it in your content. Until and unless you've gathered all of these things, primary keywords, keywords from search console, keywords from SEO tool, and the keywords from people also ask, right? So you have to gather all of these keywords. Until and unless you have them, it becomes really difficult to optimize your content to a wider level. And you will just keep on optimizing it for one keyword, your primary keyword, and it will be like it will not reach to the right target audience who would want to come and read all your content again and again, right? Next step, we are done with these things. We are done with say gathering auditing the competitors, we are done with gathering the keywords. Next step is to match the audience expectations with the content topic, as I said, right? User experience plus user expectations, right? So here we talk about the expectations. So here is a wonderful example. This is I would say that this is a topic which talks about top fashion e-commerce brands, right? When we were discussing about writing this piece, we actually thought of that the target audience who actually for whom the other content, the other competing blogs have written, those are not our target audience. We are not targeting B2C people. We are targeting B2B. We wanted to target fashion entrepreneurs, and even we wanted to target fashion brands. I mean fashion brands who are looking to go online or something like that, right? So what we did is we thoroughly discussed about how we can target this particular keyword without making talking to wrong audiences, right? So what we did is we came up with an idea that we want to cover and we want to write these success stories about these brands, how they became successful. And honestly speaking, since then, this for this query or many other queries, this blog is still on featured snippets for like almost it was 2018, I believe, and it's yeah, so it's almost 4 years now, right? So this is what we call that matching the audience expectations with the content topic. Many audiences were there who were entrepreneurs. So here what you first need to do is you need to identify your audience. You need to map that out based on your industry as well as your pricing structure, based on what you are offering and everything. Here I have placed a few examples. That's if we talk about, say, publishing industry, the audiences are different. For marketing services, the audiences are different. Even for the same IT company as well. I mean, there could be two IT companies, one targeting project managers, one targeting business owners, right? It could be, and we have worked with almost both type of companies, right? So audience differs, but the keyword targets remain the same, right? So here you need to identify your audience. Next is obviously the word count, right? You want to understand that, hey, I mean, if you're writing for a particular featured snippet, how much word count I should be covering? Is this something that our competitors have written 2,000 words? Should we also write 2,000 words? Here is the catch. I would say that it depends on the topic. What versus why versus how. Say, for example, if I have to write about what is content optimization, I don't think I would need 2,000 words to explain just what is content optimization, right? So there I have to decide that how much it will take for me to explain them about content optimization. Next is the example on, say, why content optimization is good, right? Is beneficial for SEO. So obviously for that, I cannot just write two paragraphs and get it done, or maybe I don't need to write, say, 3,000 words, right? It would just suffice around depending on the pointers that we have to explain, right? Probably 1,200 words or maximum to 1,500 words. I'm just saying, considering all the examples that we have added on that, right? Now let's go to how topic, right? So how topic, it could be something like, say, if I have to give example of how to optimize for featured snippets, right? I almost wrote more than 3,500 words on my article with that topic on search engine journal, right? So it's like that it depends on how comprehensive you can go for a particular topic, right? So the word count, the user doesn't have a particular expectation in mind that, oh, please write 1,200 words for me, write 3,000 words for me. No, it's not like that. If you are able to help them with the context and the topic that it has, it is your call to decide on the word count. Not necessary that if the competitors has risen to 2,000 words, we have to write it. In such a case, blunders happen because their keyword cannibalization issues happen because writers just add it up, or maybe SEOs add it up just to suffice the word count, to match the word count expectations that they have from their competitors. Next is content for user expectations, right? So what you need to look at when you want to say that, what could be the user expectation? The number one thing is what the topic is all about. Yes, you need to know about it, right? The topic that you're talking about, why you are writing it, right? Then you have to also look at whether you have covered everything that your competitors have. Why we need to look at our competitors on this front is because they are on the featured snippets, right? This means that they have been serving the user expectations, right? They have been fulfilling it, right? That's why they are on the featured snippets. That's the reason why we have to also look at whether we have covered everything that a user would expect and the competitor has covered, right? Next is there anything that your competitors have not added? Sometimes it happens, that you might feel that a section is something that can help our users understand this context better, right? So in that way, you can, identify those areas and try adding them. Next is, can you make it visually better for them to understand the context of the topic? really, really important, because people don't have time to read 3,000 words, or 2,000 words. They really don't have time. They mostly just glance through and just read your important points that you've added in the headings and subheadings, and so on, right? So you have to identify, if it's a guide, I can make a video and add it. If I can add an infographic, whether I can just add an image to explain what I'm trying to say, whether a product information or something like that, right? So it's something that you need to look at all of these things, and make sure that it suffice the user expectations. This is very important. Looking at the recordings in CRO tool. Until and unless you know how people are behaving on your page, whether they are liking your content, whether they are just jumping off from the introduction, they are not reading the entire content, they are, staying at a particular section and reading, entire section there, whether they are interacting with the images or not. All of these things are, very underrated. I would say that, not all SEOs actually look at such tools. So even if your clients or bosses doesn't allow for it, you please make a case for that, that it becomes really important for us to optimize this, because looking at these, you will be able to optimize a section that actually needs attention, right? And that's how you'll be able to fulfill their expectations. Now we are done with all the preparation that we wanted to do. We've done all the analysis. Now time to optimize the content, right? So if when it comes to, say, optimizing the content, make sure your audience get the expected information first, if it is possible, right? So if you look at the example over here, this is this is the blog that talks about the best smart TVs available, right? So obviously, when a person is looking to compare, right, why I'm looking at top 10, or why I'm looking at top 9 or top 10, right, smart TVs, I want to look at, I want to compare them, because from all of these 9 I might buy one, not from that particular site, but I might buy one, right? Not sure. So they are looking at comparisons. So that is the reason, we recommended actually to change the flow of the entire blog of the site. And we also asked them to create a table where they would put as clear cut information on why this smart TV is best, what are its specification, and here is where you can buy. So we wanted to make sure that this information is right on the top, so that the users doesn't need to read the entire blog, which for which they don't have time, right? They just have we don't want to increase our bounce rate, or decrease our engagement rate, right? So that's why this becomes really important to understand that the information that they are looking at should be on the top. Next is adding a section if you feel your audience would find value having it, right? So, there are times that, when someone is reading a content, what happens is that, while reading, they feel that, oh, if this would have I explained here itself rather than telling me to go to another blog, that would have been really great, right? So, in such a case, you can make identify that what that thing could be, depending on the topic, and depending on the flow of the content, and then you can suggest what new sections that you can add it. Just a moment. Right. So the next section is that optimizing content does not always mean adding things. It also means removing certain things. Yeah. So what happens is that, here there is this, conversation with my team member. She suddenly came up with this thing that, okay, hey, it's like for this article on, say, React JS developer skills, is it okay to write what is React JS and what are its benefits? I straight away said, not at all required. Even she had that doubt, that's why she came up with that question. But why I denied is that the person who is coming to read about developer skills, they are already aware about the basics of React.js, right? They don't need to know about what is React.js and why it is beneficial. No, they know it. They just want to understand what skills a developer, that particular developer, should have. And that's how I can make a decision of hiring them or not, right? So your optimization, content optimization, must also look at these areas as well. Try and identify if you have any unnecessary, section, you must remove it. Next is we have identified a lot of keywords, right? We now have from Search Console, we have from SE ranking, and we have from PAA section, right? So we have gathered all the keywords. It's time to use the blend, I mean, make a blend of it and use it as and when required, right? Here you can put, say, if you look at this example, what we did is that, the actual sentence is MetaCat is a federated service built by Netflix, right? What we did is we just wanted to make sure that the exact query, which is Netflix MetaCat, should be, around each other, right? For that particular reason, what we did is the sentence meant perfectly the same. What we did is we just changed the placement, right? Because we wanted to use that mix of keywords that we have identified, right? Nothing wrong in that because both mean the same contextually as well and grammarly as well, right? So this does not change the meaning, yet it helped, whenever search engines or Google can pick this sentence up for, say, adding it to the snippet, this might this might be a very good fit. Next is content optimization. We are done with, whatever things we wanted to add that is, required, or removing the things that were not required, right? Next is to optimize on page text. I would like to mention this thing over here is that, most of the time what happens is sometimes when you're already on page one, right? So just by changing a few meta tags, what happens is that, you might own a featured snippet. We have seen that for a lot of sites, and this works, right? But you cannot only and always rely on that particular thing. That's why we don't just recommend, just putting on your optimizing your on page tags, right? So the number one thing is write pixelated title and meta description tags. Yes, gone are the days when we used to optimize the title and meta description for, say, 160 characters and 60 characters, right? That doesn't work anymore, right? It's now that, how many pixels search engines can fit in their snippet. So that matters a lot. And we use this, online snippet optimization tool where we put and test how it will look on search engines, and that's how we create them, right? We make sure that, even if, there are WordPress plugins as well that also still recommends on, character based, but we highly recommend it to be pixelated to make sure that your, tags are not truncated, because that's very much important. Next is use these tags strategically. Most of the time, we have seen that, these tags are like, people might skip using H1 tags, they just use it H2 tags, and then they just keep it consistent across all their pages, I mean, all their sections. It's not like that, because what happens is with these strategically, tags, they would be able to understand that what is the actual structure of your page, what is the important part, what is the next important part, and so on. If your content is not structured, it is going to lose the essence of owning the featured snippets, like I explained earlier as well, that how Google selects featured snippets, right? It needs to give the proper context around keywords, right? Next is bringing more internal links and putting some external links as well. So, most of the time, what happens is we look at internal links, adding internal links to that particular content, right? To another blogs, right? But here, what we mean is that, we need to bring more internal links from other pages, right? We need to improve those internal links so that the authority, the link, the internal link juice adds up to that particular page, and that helps search engines to understand that, this page is authorized and needs to be ranked for that particular query, right? We recommend adding a few internal external links as well, because we have seen that, sometimes adding more data actually helps search users understand a point better, right? So that's why we recommend adding external links for users as well as search engines. Next is add visuals contextually and not no stock photography, please. Yes, I mean, I have been opposed to that. We don't recommend using stock photography because they are not contextual. But you can put and even I have seen conversation on. There was a forum where people were discussing that adding images doesn't end up to featured snippets, but I disagree to this. What happens is that when you add images. Most of the time, whenever there are, say paragraph, or whether there are listicle featured snippets, we have seen most of the times that images are there. So use your images contextually, and don't forget to add image alt attributes, because if you see this stats, it's like, almost all the feature maximum of the featured snippets have images, and those all images have alt attributes added. And for that, adding image alt attributes, what you can do is you can use a few of the formulas that I have created. We have this created internally on our I mean, at our organization, and that I also presented it to one of my talk at SEO Mastery Summit, right? So you can create your own formula, and you can use it consistently across all your projects. Next is that you need to add any element to make your content more interactive for your audience, right? So if you think that adding any element, whether it is FAQ, whether it is table, anything, if it is adding such elements would add more interaction, more engagement with your users, that is something that you would definitely need to add. And honestly speaking, FAQs is something that, still people, create themselves, but I would recommend use your PAA section, and use those FAQs and add it to your content to make the maximum out of it. Next is structured data. Honestly speaking, people do have this question that, structured data helps, or that helps and that influences featured snippets. No, it doesn't influences featured snippets. But what happens is, with your structured data, search engines can understand your content better, right? So the more, the better they understand, the more is the opportunity to get those featured snippets, right? So structured data is something that we should not overlook. So obviously, the next and the last step is getting contextual links. We have seen a lot of case studies where, without earning links, there are times that, people just publish good quality content, and, after owning featured snippets, they start getting good visibility. They don't need backlinks. But I would say that, getting some contextual backlinks becomes very important, especially when the industry or SERPs are highly competitive. Because if everyone is having good content, backlinks is something that is going to save you. Yeah, so let's summarize. Audit your competitors, match audience expectations, gather your keywords, identify secondary keywords, look at PAA, optimize your content for audience expectations, your on-page tags, and get contextual backlinks. Now, let's move ahead with tricks that can help you in stealing your competitors' featured snippets. The number one thing is optimizing paragraph featured snippets. If you look at this, that we have seen, from the studies that 70% of featured snippets are the paragraph type. What you can do is answer your what queries into short and to the point sentences, right? And as I said earlier, that we should be writing meta descriptions, pixelated meta description, right? So make sure that you create in that way, because search engines have limited space to showcase your featured snippets, right? So that is the reason why you need to create your paragraph that you want to get on the featured snippets based on that pixel meta description, right? If you create that, I'm sure that is going to help you rank your paragraph featured snippets much faster. Next is, if you want to optimize for listicle featured snippet, try and make sure that any part, or a part of your keyword, or the entire keyword, whether it is broad match or exact match, try and use in or around your pointers in heading tag, any of your heading tags, right? Here, if you can see FAQs one or two twice repeated over here, right? So it's like, try and use them in your heading tags. This is going to this going to work like wonders for you. Next is optimizing table featured snippets. Most of the time what happens is people turn their content, their table content into images, right? Please don't do it, because there you loses the opportunity to own a featured snippets, right? Keep the table format as it is and mark them with the right HTML tag. If you do that, it is something that, with minor other optimization, this would work really great. Coming to video featured snippets, as Google, itself, their patent says that, they try and identify query based sentences, right? So you use query based or keyword rich timestamps over here. That would work really great when it comes to video featured snippets. Next is getting a structure in place. We have this Google document. This template is consistent for all of our clients. What we do is we have added all of these things into one document. So we just make sure that nothing misses out, right? Adding content, removing content, even adding image alt attributes, page speed, nothing gets missed out. That's why it is very important to use a structure like this. Maybe not this, then at least create one for you yourself that you can use it, and make sure that nothing is missed out when optimizing your content. Right? Here is the link which you can copy and use it yourself. Next is maintain a tracker. Very important thing. This is how we maintain an content optimization tracker, where we put everything that the date on which we optimized, date on which we have to analyze, and what is the result in, say, next to 7 days, or the change in impressions or results in next 28 days. Right? We monitor them and we put it in such a tracker. Here we have placed a link. Which is something that you can also copy and use it in your Google Sheets, right? So this is very important. With tracker you will be able to know how you are progressing, whether you are progressing or not. That also becomes a really keen question, right? So the last thing that you need to do is using the mom approach. This mom approach I coined it during my white spark talk on featured snippets. So it's like we need to keep checking our results, say every 17, 14, 21 days. Very important, because until and unless you keep checking them, optimizing them would become really difficult, right? Optimize it even when you see decreased impressions or CTR, even if you see any one of them is not working, and even if you see the impressions or CTR is not coming from the relevant queries. That is something very important. And even you need to optimize when you lose featured snippets to your competitors, right? So that was all about the some of the tricks that tested and tried, tricks that we use internally at Missive. And this is something, when someone talks about ROI of featured snippets, then I would like to say that this is a screenshot from a blog that is on the featured snippets. So if you see, it equally like brings repeat audiences as well, which means that people do remember you, and they still search for the same queries and land onto your website to read more, right? So it's not only that it boosts traffic or conversions, but it even works on the brand recall, engagement, and retention, obviously resulting into conversions. So yeah, content optimization is the biggest pie of the SEO game. If you ignore it, you're gonna lose it. So that's all from my end. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn.
Great presentation, Himani. Thanks a lot for it. There's definitely a lot of information to absorb and to soak in. We're gonna just to cut off a couple of questions at the very beginning. We will send out the presentation and the replay, and you will be able to access all of the links that we Himani shared during the presentation. All right. Thank you, Himani, once again. That was, yeah, definitely a lot of different components to this whole topic of optimizing for these featured snippets. So if you don't mind, we have a couple of about 10 or more minutes to address different questions that we have
Mhm.
from people. So I want to start off with a question that was about so when you say building more, adding more external links to a page that wants to get appear for the featured snippet, do they need to use follow or do follow or no follow external links?
Honestly speaking, there is no, I mean, I would say proven methodology over here, or, proven thing that we should be using only do follow or only no follow. But we tried it doing for one of our sites, where we actually removed the, no follow stuff from the, many blogs. I mean, 3, 4 blogs we identified, and we removed all the, I mean, we made all the external links to do follow. What happened was that, the rankings really boost great, right? Those links were to the high authority sites, which we actually trusted, but we thought that following a no follow practice is something that we should be following, right? So that's why we did that earlier. But then when we removed it, it actually improved our rankings to the great extent, right? But that is not something that you can test and try it, see for 3 weeks, and then decide whether you want to go ahead with the no follow or do follow links.
Right, excellent. Thank you. The next question. What do you recommend should be the length in terms of words or characters for the paragraph featured snippet?
Okay, so if I have to talk about, say, I suggested to put as pixelated meta description kind of thing, right? So make sure that you have optimum, number of characters that would fit in two meta descriptions, right? When you want to achieve paragraph featured snippets, try and write sentences in a way that covers two of your meta descriptions, right? Make it that impactful using your queries that would work really great, and try to keep them short, keep the sentences short and not really long.
Great, great, great. Thank you. I hope that answered Kapil's question. The next question we have, how to know user, how do you find out, I'm going to rephrase this a bit. How can you learn more about a user persona for SEO reasons? How do you write content to get, because there's problems getting knowledge on every niche. So what tools do you use? If this is something that you can answer, try to answer at least, that'd be good because I'm.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Akula, it's like what happens is that, it is really difficult to, to understand the user persona for SEOs. But, what you can do is what we specifically do at Missive is that, we try and do some discovery calls with the client. And even sometimes what happens is because we work with a lot of startups, unicorns, and all of those stuff, they have their, detailed user personas written in the documents, right? So we ask them, and then we try to understand them during the discovery calls. We take multiple discovery calls to understand just their product, their business, their, engagement models, their offerings, everything. How they differ from their client is and their competitor is also what we look at. Right. So creating user personas is actually not that easy, but try and understand that this game is changing. This SEO game is literally changing, with a lot of changes in the feature, search features. There are more indented results coming up, right? With different search intent, right? So for that also, it is going to be very difficult. So that's why, try and make sure that you grab all the information from your clients, and get everything, understand that, how users work in your industry, right? And then when it comes to, say, creating content, it's like, until and unless, we have this process that we create content until and unless the client is satisfied, right? So what happens is that, we again go back to the client. They helps us understand that, no, Himani, here is something that is a gap between, what the entire topic is all about. And then the entire team works with the client and try to understand that how the gaps can be evolved, and then, and how we can remove it. And then we create content in, sprints, right? One section is done, then we again reach out to the client. They help us understand whether this is in the right direction. Then we again deliver a second sprint that they analyze. And this is how we go ahead with understanding the subsection and creating it, understanding the section and creating it. And then obviously, you talk about tools, right? So tools is something that we use extensively, a lot of tools, not just one tool. So for creating, we have different tools. We have, for research, we have different tools. It includes everything like SE ranking for SEO. I mean, we use Google tools as well. We also use Hemingway app, Grammarly. We also use, there are multiple tools that are available that we use, and we don't blindly rely on all of these tools. We, look at those data that is available, then we strategically use them.
Wow, that is a great answer, very elaborate answer. Thank you. We have the next question from Charlie. How do you get good backlinks? Through paid, or is paid a good option?
Oh, amazing. Then I would like to, know as well that, do you find people who give you backlinks organically these days? It's like really difficult, Charlie, because these days people are into this business because they know that backlinks are really important. And if they have good connections, they actually charge like $2,000, $3,000 a month for 2 to 3 links. And that is the reason why most of our clients actually rely just on, such features like, creating content, valuable content, and just optimizing it for featured snippets, and trying to, bring visibility on their site itself. But we know that without backlinks, there is no way to survive, right? So for that, even people have to go for paid links. we have to go it. There is no way that we can save from ourselves. We can try digital PR, but still digital PR is something sometimes PR companies do charge us for, coming up with a story for us, right? It's not always organic. So yeah, I mean, I guess both of these things go hand in hand. You have to focus on organic as well. You need to focus on, say, paid as well.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question is from Kate. How many FAQs is too many?
Um, until and unless your FAQs are relevant, they are very sufficient.
So it's one of those it depends answers, right?
Yeah, so it's like, say if I'm talking about, say, optimizing for featured snippets, right? Until and unless those FAQs stick to that particular topic, they are as good as for the audiences. The moment you miss out on, you are deviating from one topic to another, that's where you need to stop.
Well, good advice. Good advice. Thank you. The next question is from Roberta. I'm interested in health and wanted to ask if Google steers away from providing diagnosis or recommendations in its featured snippets.
Actually, I have seen a lot of sites who still have featured snippets. I mean, I have not seen such a case as of now. Not sure about in the future, but I have not seen where they have stopped putting up the featured snippets, because I have still seen like a month or something ago that there were the medication or something like that, they had added it in the featured snippets. But still, this is something that we need to check and then work on this. I am not too sure about it, and I cannot commit onto that.
All right. Thank you. Another question is how do you optimize content for lower volume keywords in a niche or smaller markets?
Oh, that's pretty much, honestly speaking, very easy, because if the search volumes are very low, it becomes really easy, and it becomes really quick to own featured snippets, right? So for that, I mean, you can follow this process as well. And if you are planning to create content from scratch, I have many other topics. I have already talked about them in the earlier, that you how you can create your content calendars. Maybe you go and search about it. If you want more details on this, maybe you can connect me later. I can share you those links. You can go through them, and you can start from the scratch on how you can identify topics, how you can plan it, and how you can optimize your content with a low search volume and or niche pocket.
All right, thank you. We have a couple of follow-up questions from the people who have already asked. So from Kapil, um, for writing a new page of content for a client, how do you decide the number of words for the article? Do you base it on the competition?
I would say, like I said in the earlier of the presentation as well, that don't just go behind competitors, because competitors can be wrong. It's not always that they would be the perfect ones. No, it's something that it depends on your this thing as well, your expertise. Try to understand that topic, what the topic is, whether it requires detailing, whether it requires a short explanation, whether it requires a video, whether it requires infographics. What does this topic requires? Based on that, we just start creating it, keeping a range in mind. We don't stick to a word count, say 1200 words or 1500. We keep a range, that considering the topic, reading the other blogs, we feel that we should be able to explain this point in, say, this many range, right? This much range, from say 1200 to 1500, or 1500 to 1800, whatever you feel like, depending on the topic. Because based on the topic, you would have created the outline, and looking at the outline, you can understand that how many words you would need to explain a particular point there, right? So once you're done with the outline, then decide how many words you would be able to write.
Excellent, thank you. And I think this is going to be the last question, unless we get a really good one in the next minute. So a follow-up question from Charlie about the backlinks. So can you recommend a good place to buy links?
Very tricky, because honestly speaking, we are yet not indulged into, such identifying the good places. We just have a few people where, they do it, but we are still away from that. We just have kept it for our clients. If they are ready to do it, we just, get them connected. So we are mostly not involved wherever, it's like they have to buy it. We don't recommend it buying it. That's why we are staying away from it. So what we do is we make the that person connect with the client, and we also tell them that, if anything happens to your site with the, using these paid links, we will not be responsible.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So this is almost the very end of our webinar, and I just wanted to finish off by uh, giving you guys some special offers. So we have regarding the topic, you can do a lot of the things that Himani talked about today by using SEO ranking. So we only recently rolled out a new tool, an AI powered tool that helps you analyze your competitors for a specific page. So, for example, you want to optimize a specific page. We have a new tool that just gives you all the different information that the average for your niche or for your specific SERP, and you can use those guidelines to create a SERP that will be able to put up a good fight. Then we have a tool about SERP analysis that also gives you the same idea, but before you even have a page, you can like investigate a keyword, see that it has a featured snippet, and you want to create a new page for that specific SERP. And this tool will give you all the like the best practices and analyze the competition to let you know what happens. But there are plenty more other tools inside of Ranking, so you're welcome to try out the free trial. And here's the QR code, and obviously you'll be able to we'll send the link to the presentation. And if you need to brush up on your SEO knowledge, or if you're just getting started, we have an excellent SEO basics course that just takes you levels you up a bit. Well, we're not going to take it to the expert because that would be too quick, but still we provide you a lot of different information that will just explain you all the ropes of SEO. And we also have an offer from Hermione, and perhaps you can let us know about that offer.
Oh,
As well.
wonderful. Yeah, so usually what happens is we have this separate, service, a content optimization as a service, right? So there we don't execute the entire SEO things for your website. What we do is we list down the, recommendations that you would be, working on your content optimization. So we list down all the suggestions and everything. Usually we do not take, say, more, I mean, less than 10 pages a month. But for you guys, the people who are attending this webinar, you guys can come up with the request on pilot project. We do it for 3 months. Usually it is for minimum of 6 months. So what you can do is, here we do like minimum of 5 pages a month. We help you with the content optimization recommendations that you can go implement it, and we can help you with that for 3 months, right? So for that, you can come up with that request. We will make sure that, if you name it that you have come from SE ranking webinar, we will make it for you for 5 pages a month, and we will do a contract of, say, 3 months.
Fantastic, Himani. We appreciate it, and we hope that you guys will take her Himani up on her offer. So thank you again. This has been very interesting. I hope we can talk about for future snippets more in the future, maybe once they develop or something additional happens. But we would love to have you back for another webinar.
Oh, it was really a pleasure having over here, and thank you so much, really, for inviting me. And I would be super duper excited to join you guys again. And honestly speaking, guys, SE ranking tool, I've been working on this, and it's like, this UI and everything is amazing. So guys, please go check it out. It's worth trying it. And even I see there is someone who has asked that, people don't show up keywords. I mean, other tools don't show up keywords with low search volume. SE ranking is something that can help you with that data.
Thank you. Wow, that is an amazing promotion for us. Thank you. Can you put up a website? So yeah, we're gonna throw your website into the chat. Um,
Oh, wonderful.
can you? I'm not sure if I have a link. Is it? Yeah, we're just gonna throw your LinkedIn. I'm just gonna bring it up on the screen again. This is Himani's LinkedIn. So be sure to reach out to her, and we will send out all the offers to your. Oh, and also, yeah, I'm gonna add. Hold on 1 second. Just post. No, besides this one, I'm gonna post the link to your company, So just explore that, check that out, and we will keep in touch with you via email. Yeah, and once again, thanks everyone for joining us. And Himani, thank you a lot for your input and excellent expertise.
Thank you so much for having me.